Hi guys, my name is Marcia and I'm the painter at the company Loot. We create a lot of miniatures for 3D printing every month and share some tips about painting. First of all, if this video appeared in your recommendations and you felt into it, miniatures are small sculptures. Use it as collectibles, toys, game scenery, like in RPG games, or simple small objects for decoration. You can play with the model just as you printed it, they are already very cool. Or you can make it more beautiful and personalize it by painting them. I will show you a simple painting process for that awesome mini, the Basilisk, so you can start giving wings for your imagination and creativity. So let's talk about what is necessary. Before putting some colors in the model, you need to follow some steps until the mini is prepared. Imagining that you have just 3D printed and cleaned your miniature, the first step is to remove the supports. You can use a hobby clipper or a hobby knife. Then you need to cure it with UV light. And sand it with sandpaper. When the curing process is done, sometimes you need to glue some parts together or fix something. If you use epoxy putty, remember to wait for it to dry according to the recommendations. Now your miniature is ready for priming. I recommend wearing gloves and a mask to protect you and, if it is possible, doing it in a ventilated area. Don't forget to read the specific recommendations in the bottle, like drying time and the distance of application. Don't apply the first spray directly in the miniature. Then spray in shot sharp and avoid excess primer to not obscure the model's detail. Wait for it to dry before painting. I heard that the Army Painter spray primer is nice because of quality and price, but I can't buy it from here, so I'm using a Brazilian brand that solves the problem. But anytime, you can try the Zenithal primer technique. You must spray a black primer, then a white from above. It helps us to see and understand where the lights and the shadows would be placed, and the color over the white becomes more vibrant than over the black. I choose this image as reference. After that, I will decide on the color scheme. I would like to paint this grayish-blue aspect and red. Instead of painting with just one color, you can use more tones of one color to increase volume to the piece. You can use Photoshop to pick up the main color and make it darker and lighter, creating a gradient. This color scheme helps to have a plan and helps when you are painting and making mixes to achieve the color that you desire or intend to. For my steps in this video, I prefer something simple, so I will choose the main color, a dark one. From that color, I make one lighter tone and one even more lighter tone. This way, we will use just 3 tones for each part. We will keep this huge variation from dark to light to create more volume without a soft gradient. This is something you can try later because we will spend much more time. For a soft gradient, it would be necessary more tones and more work. I recommend acrylic paints because they are water-soluble and faster to paint than oils, for example. A big plus is that you avoid toxic smells. For the Basilisk as the reference, I will use red, leather brown, pale blue, blue-green, ocean blue, black, and white. I will leave an option in the description. If you are starting this hobby right now, or even thinking about starting to paint, you don't necessarily need 1,000 paints. You can start with primary colors and mix them, or you can buy a basic set. There are many brand options. I have been painting with Vallejo and AK Interactive, and I like them very much. They are expensive, especially for me here in Brazil, because of the difference in money value and also because of taxes for importation. But they have a very professional quality, good coverage and durability. You can start with the cheapest paints if you want. From Vallejo you can use the model color line because it has a matte effect that works for almost everything. If you buy a line like Game Color, you could end with a satin effect that can be weird sometimes. You can also buy metallic paints if you wanna paint armors, but in this case, since the monster is not using any accessories, I will not use any. I'm using a wax palette, but you can use plastic plates, porcelain dishes, or a usual palette. Wet palette is amazing because it allows you to stop and start painting again some days later, keeping the paint wet. You can buy one, but if you want to start painting right now, I will show you how to make one. Grab a pot, put the foam into the pot and add water. Cover the foam with a paper towel or blotting paper and add water again. Then add a baking or cooking paper. Keep it dry, but if your city has low humidity, you can add a little bit of water, and if it is necessary, remove the excess with a paper towel. For starters, I recommend at least 2 brushes. One for painting or covering, round, soft, number 2, a cheap one for these first techniques, and one for dry brushing. Dry brush is a technique that damages your brush cause it rubs against the surface, so you can use any of the cheapest one. I also choose soft bristles. People like to use a specific dry brush or makeup brushes because they are fantastic for this purpose. If you choose to use a traditional brush, search for a flat one or a filbert format. The size can be 2, 4, or the one you have at home. It will depend on the size of the area you want to paint. A water container to clean your brush when changing color, and moisten the brush before you pick some paint, so it flows well when you apply it, as we will see soon. If you are using metallic paint, remember to pick another water container just for it. Paper towel or cloth to remove excess paint and help to clean the brushes. And wash. It is a very diluted paint that remains in the deepest parts. This way, it is helpful to increase volume. You can buy a set of colors or make them. There are many recipes on the internet, and also there is a product that I have been using, washable agent from AK Interactive. I mix it with the color I want, and this way I can get almost any wash. For this mini, I'm using a ready-to-use wash from Secret Weapon called Dark Sepia. A nice tip is to always have good images and painting references. We can learn a lot from observing and testing. If you are going to paint fire or metal, it is always good to have a reference right next to you. And to become a better painter, It's really important to follow great artists that will inspire you. I can list some of my favorites. Some of them have YouTube channels and others you can find on Instagram, and I will leave their profile in the description. As I said, there are many ways to paint. I will tell you one, so you can begin, continue practicing and learning, and someday you will find your own way. Painting time. Let's work! First step, the base coat. It is the base of the elements of your color scheme. For the base, I'm mixing black and leather brown. I'm applying this color to the stone and the base. If it moistens, it flows better. You see? If it is not so wet, it leaves a lot of marks. But it can't be so fluid, so it won't drip. Some techniques use very diluted paint, like in washes, but we will talk about them in a moment. Hand the brush closer to the point, like a pen, and make movements like you are writing the figure. Be gentle, and go in one direction, never back and forward. Skin. I'm putting the blue-green in the wet palette. Remember, always shake the bottle. I'm adding black to darken. And ocean blue. I think that just ocean blue and black would work as I want. So let's apply this color. Spike. Now I'm putting red. Adding ocean blue to make it darker. I'm applying this dark red in the spicules. I'm mixing the same color from the spike but with more blue to get a wine color. I'm applying black to the teeth. So, I finished the base coat. Second step, increasing the shadows. To shade, we can use washes, very diluted paint, or very diluted ink. There is a lot of confusion about terms in this hobby, and I don't know it right, neither I'm not worried about that. I think if I'm using a very diluted paint, it can be also a wash or glaze, and I will use the Secret Weapon Dark Sepia wash and the elements to increase the shadows. The shading effect of inks can be awesome in shadows because it increases the contrast. If you have inks, you can make your own wash with them. As you can see, the liquid paint wash flows into the recesses of the miniature and work with your paint job to give a dramatic detail. You can remove extra wash with your brush. Third step, first highlight with dry brush. What is dry brush? It is a technique that you apply a light color over a dark color with your brush really dry. You remove almost everything from the brush in the paper towel. I'm mixing blue-green with pale blue and I'm applying it to lighten the skin. I will dry brush the spike with red, mix it with a little of leather brown. I am dry brushing the tongue with blood red. I will mix leather brown with white to dry brush the base. For the second highlight, I'm using pale blue to lighten the skin. I will dry brush the spike again. Now I will add white to the previous color. I am dry brushing the tongue again, mixing blood red and white. For the eyes, I will use blue-green mixed with white. For the teeth, I'm using leather brown with white in this second highlight. To finish, I'm applying black to the base. If you want to stop right here, you already have a nice painted mini for your collection. But if you want Extra protection for your paintings, especially if you will play with them, you can use varnish. I have never varnished, so I have no experience to share. I keep my paintings protected from the light and avoid handling. I prefer not to use any varnish than a bad one, cause I'm afraid that it could change the perception of the whole miniature, giving it an excessive gloss, excessive matte effect, or even a yellowish effect with time. A lot of painters that I follow don't use an either. I just use it in mouth, teeth, eyes, and blood to give a gloss finish. If you want to learn more about varnish, take a look at Zenith's channel. He did a really nice content explaining how to varnish your pieces and telling what not to do to avoid unexpected results. I will link the video below. That's it! I hope you liked this video. As I said, you will find a way that you like most and works better for you. This is just the Painter's Starter Pack, with the basic tips for you to begin right now. From now on, try adding more colors, tones, and contrast to your paintings, increasing details and your personality to your minis. The most important is to have fun. Now, if you are looking for awesome minis to print and paint, take a look at our site. They are all high-quality, realistic sculptures, and I'm sure you will have a lot of fun painting them. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell. If you learned something new, please comment below and share it with your hobby friends. I appreciate all the feedback. Bye bye!